So our first story goes from Eggplant Shoes. An incompetent DM changes the rules and writes the worst plot twist to ever be written. He is more judgmental than we are.
Yeah,
Let's see how it goes.
the worst plot twist ever. We could think it's a great idea, and he just didn't like it.
Let's see who is going to be right.
Well, we know already for sure we're going to be right. But let's get started. A few years ago, I witnessed a game that wasn't straight up disastrous, but left me incredibly baffled. That's an odd statement to make. It sounds like a really low bar.
Next to awful.
Awful adjacent. It all started when my girlfriend invited me to spectate on a Cyberpunk Red session that she was about to play in. There were 4 players and a DM. First thing I learned, the DM, in the middle of the campaign, decided to change the dice rules to homebrew ones for some reason. He never stated as such, but I think he kind of based them on, what's WOD?
World of something.
Yeah, maybe.
World of Dungeons.
I'm not really sure what that is, so let us know if you know what it is, if somebody watching this knows what WOD is, where you have to throw multiple dice based on your skill level to determine the amount of successes and fails. Instead of D10, they threw D6s. So a 1 is a fail and a 6 is a success, and everything else did nothing.
So they basically rolling dice is doing nothing. So what's the point?
Yeah, so most of the time they roll dice, nothing happens. I mean, technically, isn't 1 through 5 a fail if nothing happens? So even without experience, I could tell this was completely moronic and not tested at all, obviously. Very opinionated for somebody who was just asked to spectate.
I start to like this guy. He is more judgmental than us.
Yeah, maybe he should be on here with us. It became apparent pretty quickly when the players wanted to have a race on the Badlands. 2 of them had regular cars, and 1 had a decked out nomadic car, and 1 had a bike. Mind you, none of those things were counted in. No modifiers for the type of vehicle, nothing. All that mattered was the rolls on driving. So whoever had the most successes won. That's that. That's oversimplified. There should have been, like, the modified car should have had an advantage. The bike maybe has a disadvantage because you could just smash into it.
He doesn't give them motive to be more creative.
Yeah, so would
like
somebody who just found a horse in a cart have equal chance to win this race?
3-wheeled bike.
1 player pulling the other in a rickshaw? As if to point out the stupidity of the rules, the Nomad car guy lost. So the car that should have won lost, or should have had at least an advantage, lost. And he was not happy about it, of course. He ranted a bit about what's the point of spending so much cash on upgrading my car if it doesn't do anything. He's right. Absolutely. I agree with him. The DM had no idea what to say, so he just skimmed over the situation and skipped to the night. I guess he just ignored their questions and played on.
Maybe he didn't even have any mechanic for that, and he wanted to figure it out later. Is it possible? He's just like, yeah, I don't know what to say now because I didn't maybe figure it out, and now I feel dumb, but I can't come up with something.
It's very simple, right? The decked out cars might have 3 dice. You roll 3 6-sided dice to see how many successes you get, where the normal car gets 2 and the bike gets 1. I mean, it's very simple.
Something like that, yeah. I don't say that it is very difficult to come up with something, but
no, he just didn't seem to try.
Okay, the night is coming. What is going? The true horrors are starting.
We skip to the night where the true horror begins. The crew set up camp in the Badlands and went to bed. Then in the middle of the night, they were woken up by a loud crash no more than a mile away. Startled, everybody left their tents, and all they could see was a large metallic object smoking crashed into the ground. A mile away, they could see this in the dark? That's interesting.
They augmented with some different cybernetic abilities, I guess.
Oh, yeah. They have, like, enhanced vision or something. Right, they obviously went to investigate, and as they arrived at the scene, the metal thing appeared to be some kind of spaceship. They were reasonably taken aback by this. But hey, space travel is much more accessible in CP. Maybe one of those moon cruisers crashed into the ground. And surely it's not something the DM put there because he recently saw the new Alien movie. Very non-subtle foreshadowing there.
But it is a common plot in many sci-fi movies.
Yeah, why
Let's be
not?
real.
I mean, I don't dislike using fun culture, like pop culture stuff in your
Yeah.
game. You want to have the team have to fight xenomorphs? Let's go. I'll fight a xenomorph.
True. Our DM constantly puts in some meta things like hints, yeah, for us to recognize something from the real life into the
Yeah.
game. Yeah, it's just always fun to see.
So the crew entered the ship, split into two pairs, one per floor, and began to explore. And it was so boring. The DM had a pre-made map of the ship with like a dozen rooms on two floors, and only a few of them had loot and nothing else. He's being a little judgmental here. You expect there to be loot in every room? Like if I come to rob your house right now, I'm going to find all the good stuff in your bathroom.
Bad cardboard.
He doesn't like the map either. Okay. The players also had no idea what they were looking for, so they just aimlessly walked around collecting random weapons or scrap for like an hour and a half. That's the game, right? I mean, you see a wreck, you go investigate it. How do you have a mission in that wreck other than to investigate and see what you find? That's the point,
Yeah.
don't you think?
He is coming there as a spectacle. As a spectacle.
Yeah, he came as a spectator, but he's making a spectacle of himself.
Okay.
As they're finally starting to complain, suddenly one pair gets attacked by aliens. There were two of them, and they basically looked like head crabs from HL.
Half-Life.
Half-Life. Okay.
Yeah.
Head crabs from Half-Life, but also kind of worked like the monster from The Thing. A fight ensued, and the players were losing, not only because of the terrible dice rolls, but also because the aliens could regenerate from bullets and katana cuts like it's nothing. Meanwhile, the other pair was still investigating the rooms until they also found a room that triggered an alien attack on their floor. Fantastic. After like 30 minutes of useless fighting, someone metagamed a bit and just used fire, which to nobody's surprise worked like a charm. Who would have thought? Wish the DM gave some hints about this, but hey, whatever. Come on, man. You want the DM to tell you how to solve the mission?
And what about splitting the party into two groups investigating different floors?
Yeah,
You split the party, you take the consequences, of course. Maybe the aliens are tough to fight, maybe they are regenerating, but you were supposed to fight them all together, and now you're split between two floors, different floors, and trigger
Yeah.
the two different attacks. Here we go!
Yeah,
Your
100%.
arms.
Like the DM probably expected them to stay together, explore the first floor together, get in a fight with two aliens 4-on-2, then go to the second floor and have another fight 4-on-2.
Call it your lose and deal with it and just move on.
Yeah.
Don't start to complain about everything, and the DM didn't give you some hints. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to give you any hints.
The DM tells you what's happening in the scene, and you decide what you're going to do about it. Where are these hints coming from? You're just going to metagame the whole thing?
Yeah, what else does he need to give you? Some advantages here and there for no reason?
Yeah, hint, they're susceptible to fire. Why would the DM tell you that? You got to figure that out. Try different types of attacks until you find one that works well. So by then, I was incredibly relieved I'm only spectating and not playing because I was constantly zoning out with how dragged out it was. Now, it might have been dragged out because of the bad dice rules.
You just constantly rolling d6, and 4 times out of 6, there's not going to be happening anything.
It would make the combat last a long time, and I would probably get bored too after 10 straight rounds of rolling less than a 6. The players didn't hide their unamusement either. Not straight up complaining, but just kind of doing whatever to get these horrendous fights over with. I think around that time, I went AFK to make myself some food, and by the time I came back, the crew was leaving the spaceship because they were really beaten up and had a lot of cool loot on them. So they did get loot out of this at least.
Mhm.
And then disaster struck. The final boss of this horror story came. The DM began to narrate the whole crew waking up in their tents because it was all a dream. A group dream, apparently. Everyone was
Okay, all right.
dumbfounded.
I don't like the plots when it is revealed that it was all a dream. Even Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that from Lewis Carroll. I never liked the idea. It means nothing had happened. The main hero is going to forget about his dream within few hours. Even
Yeah.
if he keeps remembering them, they give him nothing.
And
The
all
point.
that cool loot they found didn't happen, right?
Oh no, this is the worst part. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should not reward
Uh,
players just for them to give it back to you
yeah,
because hey,
exactly.
yeah, your energy was spent really, you suffered really, you fought really, but it was just smoke.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like that twist. Although I have used something similar in one of my campaigns where they have a whole fight scene with a very powerful demon that turns out to have been a test that somebody else put them through. But it was fun for them to try to beat this demon, and they all get killed because they were nowhere near powerful enough to do it. And then when they all think all of their characters just got TPK'd, they find out that the whole thing was a test, and they passed. By not running away and not being cowards and things like that, and sacrificing themselves for each other, they passed the test. But I didn't give them
This is
any equipment that then they had to give back either. They were rewarded for passing the test.
because there is something actually happening after the dream and in the dream, so it was like putting them in different dimension more than just making it all just made up dream nonsense.
Yeah, there was a point to it that
Yeah.
continued outside the dream. Everyone was dumbfounded as the DM wrapped up the session. Finally, someone probed about all that loot they collected, since it was incredibly unfair that they spent so much time for nothing. The DM somehow didn't expect this to come up, and after some thinking, he just reluctantly let the players keep the loot. That makes sense. Dream loot. Which was obviously a whole plot hole on his own for a reason I don't need to explain. It all basically sounded like he had no idea what he was doing from start to finish and just wanted a sci-fi adventure. Midway realized no one was enjoying it and that it also made no sense in the CP setting and just retconned it in the stupidest way possible. Anyway, I hope it was at least an entertaining read because it was miserable to witness.
What a story, Mark.
It was not a good story, and I would agree the DM had some serious problematic issues here. He shouldn't have created or homebrewed his own dice system and then rejected anybody's pushback on why it worked like crap.
Yeah.
There's a reason nobody's using a pass-fail for TTRPGs. Like, if you roll a 1 through 5, you fail. If you roll a 6, you succeed. That's boring. It's going to make for endless combats, skill checks, everything.
For that matter, you can already use a coin and flip the coin, because if there are only two possibilities, fail and succeed, you need just two sides. Other sides don't work at all. So
yeah, but in his case,
useless.
you had a 1 in 6 chance of success and a 5 in 6 chance of failure. So it's not even a coin. A coin flips 50-50.
Yeah, but in the fight, I mean, they probably just moving around or just standing there, swaying their swords, or when it comes to Cyberpunk, shooting in the air. Everybody, enemies and heroes as well.
I think the DM was definitely problematic. I think the writer, though, was a little bit too judgmental, especially for a person who's just spectating. Telling the DM that he should give them hints, that's silly. And I don't like the ending with the dream thing and they lose everything. That was dumb. Not well thought out.
He let them keep it all. I think that there is no going to be any follow-up session.
And it's your own fault for splitting the party.
That's
Choices.
rule number 1.
Yeah, never split the party. You broke rule number 1. Don't complain about the result.